Hey YouTube friends, Angel Marie here. I'm so happy to see y'all. I know it's been a minute since I published a video on here, so it's good to be back. If we haven't met yet, just a little bit more details about me. I'm a business coach, adventure enthusiast, and super passionate about Jesus, which brings us to today's video topic. I want to talk about learning to hear God's voice. This is, in my opinion, one of the most challenging experiences because it's really, really difficult to understand the difference between God's voice, your own voice, and the enemy's voice. So if you're struggling with hearing God's voice, if you're feeling a little confused, or if you're just really looking for some tips to help you in this area, I got your back. Tip number 1, be still. This is one of the most challenging things for the average human being to accomplish, is the ability to just be still. Quiet your mind, quiet your soul, be still in your physical form so that you can make room for God to speak to you. Naturally and subconsciously, you might not even know it, but there are thousands of voices, thousands of thoughts, concerns, worries, fears that cloud your mind every single minute. And as I said, you may not even be aware. It's just there, floating in the back of your subconscious. Now, to learn to be still, it takes time, and it definitely takes practice. And you could be still in a variety of different ways. Maybe it's just sitting in a quiet room. Maybe it's intentionally taking time to meditate for 10 minutes in the morning or in the evening. Whatever you need to do to learn to quiet your mind and your physical form so that God can actually speak to you. This is gonna help in understanding what God is telling you to do and where He's needing you to go. Number 2, be patient, but take action. We tend to get a little hasty, right? We tend to get a little excited or get super impatient because we just want it. Whatever it is that we are looking for, we want it, we're seeking it, we desire it, and we want it now. And that will escalate the more you compare your life to others. You might not even be aware of it, but when you're constantly scrolling on social media or other platforms, you are comparing your life to other people. And that can cause you to be impatient. Why isn't my life like that? Why can't I figure this out? Why can't I go here or do this? When we step into this mentality, we're automatically snatching the steering wheel of our life away from God, who it belongs to, and we decide to drive. We decide to take it because we want to control it, and we want whatever it is that we're desiring. So patience looks like giving that wheel of your life back to God, trusting Him with the plans that He has for you. And it takes some time to build up that trust factor. So as you're in the process of learning to give the steering wheel back over to God so that you can learn to be patient and therefore hear His voice, you also want to take action too. A lot of people confuse patience with laziness. You don't want to confuse the two. The Bible says faith without work is dead. So what actions are you taking? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you listening to? What positive habits are you implementing? What are you physically, mentally, and spiritually doing to increase your relationship with God and therefore hear His voice in the near future? Last but not least, number 3, create a prayer system. Now, when I say a prayer system, I'm not just talking about praying before a meal, right when you wake up, before you go to bed. That's great, but I'm talking about legitimately creating a prayer strategy. Do you have a physical space set aside specifically for prayer? Are you writing your prayers down? And at what frequency are you praying these prayers? Keeping a prayer strategy was probably the number 1 best thing that I could have ever implemented into my life at the beginning of 2020, because it really taught me what consistency, intentionality, and authenticity looked like when I was talking to God. And by the way, I gotta give the movie its credit. I took this advice from War Room, which is an incredible film. I dropped it in the description down below if you wanna check it out. So because I love y'all, and because I'm all about honesty and personable relationships, I'm actually gonna show you what my prayer space looks like. I've never done this before. This is a pretty private space for me, but I want to publicly share it because I truly believe that in order to teach and to be a leader and an influence in the right ways, you have to show people your experience, your strategies, what you've implemented, and how you've implemented it. All right, let's go. All right, don't mind the mess. Your girl is moving soon. Okay, so my closet right now is a hot mess because, as I said, I'm in the midst of moving, but this area right here was my prayer space, in addition to it being my closet, obviously. So what I did is I literally took pieces of paper and I wrote out all of my prayers and I would tape them on the wall. So anytime there was a new prayer, I would write it down on that piece of paper. I would write down verses that coincided with that prayer, and I literally would sit right here on the floor, stare at the papers, and just pray over every single one. So this strategy was such a huge stepping stone in my life, because as prayers were getting answered, I literally would take a pencil and just cross it off my list. And to be able to physically see the prayers that were getting answered was just beautiful. So definitely implement this strategy. I chose my closet. Maybe you choose a different room of yours. Even if it's your car, do what you got to do to implement that strategy. All right, friends, that wraps up today's video. I really encourage you to implement those tips so that you can start to hear God's voice. And I'll definitely be praying for you along your spiritual journey. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.